We back at it.
Yo, join us for hashtag Freethinkers every Sunday, 7 p.m. on Millennial FM 95.9. This is not normal radio, okay? This is different. We're going to give you 30 solid minutes of music, interviews, and surprises. Then, those who subscribe to hashtag Freethinkers on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, or iHeartRadio will get the whole thing on demand, plus an in-depth podcast about the topic of the week with even more special guests. Join us, freethinkersradio.com, every Sunday, 7 p.m.
We back at it. Freethinkers Radio. 4, 3, 2,
1.
Hashtag Freethinkers.
Because you've never been the same as anyone else.
Don't think the same as everyone else.
This is your call.
Hello, 95.9 Millennial FM. We've got a special show for you today. Y'all know we're here for the music. But today is a special day. Actually, this season is a special season. This is election season. And y'all know we here to dance, but you can't dance if you're chained up. So make sure that you elect the leaders and make sure that you know what you need from your leaders so that you pick the right leaders. And for that reason, we took this special opportunity. Also, I have to say that normally this is Second Thoughts. And normally Ezra and AJ, the incredible production duo known as Dose, are in here chopping it up and making beats and everything for y'all. But today is actually AJ's birthday. So happy birthday to AJ, one half of Dose. And so we have a special edition today because we didn't want to run a replay. We were going to run a replay, but the Talented 10th here in the city of Columbia had their 2019 convening, and that included the mayor of Birmingham, Alabama. That included Dr. Wes Bellamy from Charlottesville, Virginia, our incredible mayor, Steve Benjamin. And also the very next day, Senator Gillibrand came down to have a meet and greet with us at Kiki's Chicken and Waffles, the amazing restaurant within Red Velvet Waffles. Yes. Anyway, so today we have a special. The special is going to be hosted today by Shantae Darby from the Black Couch. But your boy actually did the interview, and I was suited up for it. So let's do this. Let's do it just like this right here. Let's go.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Black Couch, and today we have a special episode. Before I go any further, I would like to thank Dave Pendergrass and the Freethinkers team, and you're listening not only to the Black Couch, but hashtag Freethinkers. All right. So today we're bringing you an interview with Dr. Wes Bellamy. Yes, Dr. Wes Bellamy. I told you it was going to be special. So he is a counsel from Charlottesville, Virginia, and he actually explains, and not really in detail, but he explains what the situation really happened in there. So I had the pleasure of meeting him a year ago at South Carolina State, which we're both Bulldogs, proud alum, at South Carolina State during the 50th commemoration of the Orangeburg Massacre. He was one of the panelists that spoke for that event, and he presented a strong argument and a strong pledge to the people to help us reflect and realize what are we willing to sacrifice for the greater good and greater cause of our people, of not just our people, but for the community that we live in. And I really enjoyed his stance. I really enjoy what he's doing in the community, and that's one of the things that we like to see in the Black House. That's one thing we like to see in our community. Someone that is representing us, somebody that's representing community and just empowerment. You know, that's the good thing that we like to see. And here's just a snippet of what he talked about at the 50th commemoration.
I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everyone here will cry out, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black, and I'm beautiful. And those are words from the Honorable Dr. Martin Luther King, stated in times similar to in which the young brothers sacrificed their lives for us to be here today. And in their fight for what was then known as equality, they gave something that was more precious than what many could ever fathom giving, their lives. So today I want to ask you, what are you willing to sacrifice for the greater good of the progression of all people today.
There you go, Dr. Wes Bellamy, very impactful leader, and he's actually, like I said, he's actually doing the work. In this interview that's coming up, he explains his book, Monumental. He also explains that he wrote the book to clear up the misconceptions of what people saw, with the statues and all that good stuff. So, man, stay tuned and listen to the full interview. Listen to what he has to say, because he have definitely great insight and he knows the stuff. So, again, before I bring you the interview, if you would like to connect to the Black Couch via social media, you have Instagram, _black_couch. And we're also on Facebook. Remember, this is brought to you by #Freethinkers. So to our Millennial FM listeners, we appreciate you guys for listening. And continue to listen. Connect with us, Black Couch, again on Instagram and Facebook. Also, you can visit our website, which will bring you to the other episodes. That's blackcouch.org. So you can definitely check us out. Check out all the other episodes. I know it had to be about 50 or 60 episodes that's passed. So check out the other episodes on the Black Couch, and you kind of see what the Black Couch is really about. But so thanks again to Millennial FM, #Freethinkers, and the Black Couch community for supporting us. And without further ado, I present to you the interview with Dave Pendergrass, #Freethinkers, and Dr. Wes Bellamy.
I'm really excited because I'm here with Councilman Dr. Wes Bellamy from Charlottesville, Virginia.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Great.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, absolutely. I appreciate you coming and joining us, man. We actually serve a millennial base. These are a lot of us are there. It's not just minorities, but it's a lot of millennials.
Good.
And the way things are evolving here in Columbia, South Carolina, they're just things that, you know what I mean? We love to hear voices, man, from outside, especially strong black male voices. To be honest with you, my generation, the people I serve, there's not a lot of, strong black voices we get to hear from.
Yeah.
We're thankful for Abrams and everyone like that. You know what I'm saying? But we don't have enough of us.
Yeah.
Just to be honest.
I agree. Yeah.
There's some low voices. Some low voices,
some different octaves. Yeah.
Exactly.
I got you.
Exactly. We're here to talk about your amazing book here.
Thank you, man. So my debut work, Monumental, it was never about a statue. Essentially, it's a memoir which describes the year before the white supremacist attacks in Charlottesville, Virginia, and then what's transpired the year after. So I think a lot of people often think that what they saw on August 12th of 2017, an event in which we saw a young woman lose her life, rest in peace to Heather Heyer, and we saw white supremacists with guns and torches and everything else actually parade on a city and try and quote unquote reclaim it or make it seem as if it's theirs. And there's been a lot of misconceptions that this was about the city council decision to remove the statue of Robert E. Lee. And that's not what it's about. In my personal opinion, as the individual, for better or worse, who's often blamed for getting everything started, I think that this is about an awakening of a city, but also just what happens when a community decides to stand up to white supremacy and how relevant and prevalent white supremacy still is in many of our communities. So I just wrote some stuff that happened behind the scenes. Again, people often think that some people, I see on social media now, oh, this is my fault and so forth, but just letting people hear my perspective and how it started and what it was like being there on that day and then what's transpired in the year after.
Cool. So what do you think has kept, because, if you travel a bit, white supremacy is morphed in some places, but in some places it seems like it's more in front than other places. Yeah. Well, what do you think made Charlottesville the type of place that people could be so vocal and so in front about?
Yeah, well, I think it's the perfect storm of sorts. So you have a black vice mayor at the time, because I was serving as vice mayor. I'm the youngest person ever elected, only the seventh black, and I'm extremely vocal. In a community in which is not really accustomed to black men or African Americans, for that matter, being vocal in regards to equity, talking about the things that need to change. So then you have that component of it. You also are faced with the rise of racist rhetoric from 45 in the Oval Office. And then these individuals believing a lot of the racist rhetoric that was being stated. And then that empowers them and emboldens them to try and do things in which we haven't seen since maybe the 40s or the 50s. Subsequently, when you couple those two issues with the fact that these white supremacists were intent on trying to send me a message, and I wasn't backing down. And then we saw a community continue to rally and rise around us, and they too were not going to back down. I think all of that went into these individuals believing in which they had a fundamental right to come to a city and a state in which it's theirs. I mean, we have to keep in mind, Virginia is the capital of the Confederacy. Literally, the capital of the Confederacy was in Virginia, but the actual capital was an hour away from Charlottesville in Richmond, Virginia. We're also a place in which is, we're only 19% African American in the city, and we're about 10% African American in the county. We're home of the University of Virginia. We're a place in which you see white people believe in which they are the superior group. So now when people decide to challenge that, and even when we have other white people who join in this fight for equity, that made a lot of people upset. And it was just, again, one of those situations in which it was a storm, and people decided to come together to try to do something very evil, and what they meant for bad, God meant for good. Because I believe that our city has been ground zero for the awakening, and we've awakened a lot of people in regards to how real this white supremacy and racism still is, but also just how we can make good come out of a bad situation.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, a lot of us, we're kind of, some of us are third person as far as how we saw the more violent parts of racism. You know what I'm saying? The real actual prejudices being acted out. You know what I'm saying? And so, what are there things in this book, or are there things that you would say to a person who feels like they're you would say to a person who basically is coming up in a generation where maybe my parents dealt with it.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Yeah. So, I mean, there isn't a week that doesn't go by in which I don't get hate mail sent to my house. There isn't 48-hour span that doesn't go by in which I'm not called the N-word on social media. We've had bomb threats at my daughter's schools. We've had death threats at our homes. We've had literally, they try to attack our livelihood. Any and every kind of scenario in which you can think we've had to deal with. But we've still been able to stay tall. We've still been able to galvanize a community, a city, and we've been an example for a nation that hate won't win. So, sometimes when people see these things from the outside looking in, and they're like, oh, well, that's just, man, those people in Virginia are crazy. But, I mean, I've literally traveled the world this past year, and this white supremacist ideology is not regulated to just the Commonwealth of Virginia. Maybe our city, it was a lot more open, and we've seen it. But if you look at some of the covert systemic policies that still exist here in our nation, in cities and states throughout the country, you see racism is still alive and well. When you look at globally, these fascist groups have roles to power, and they're in elected offices across the world. You see white supremacy and racism still exists. When you look at someone like 45 who can say the most racist and degrading things that you can think of, and he's elected to the highest office in the land, racism still exists.
Absolutely, absolutely. What's the next steps? Like, what are the solutions in economics?
So I think there's a variety of different things which we can continue to do in Charlottesville. A lot of people talk about us in the effort to remove the statue. That was just one component of it, but we also got a $4.5 million equity package passed. I presented it in 2017, in which we had $2.5 million to affordable housing and public housing redevelopment, a $50,000 grant for anybody who lives in public housing. They'll get a free GED. anybody who lives in public housing to partner and go to the local community college. We had job training programs within it. There was a position for Black male achievement within it. $950,000 for our African American Heritage Center. And I think it's a reallocation of resources is what it's going to take to move us in the right direction. Some people say to me, a lot of these things are symbolic. Moving a statue is symbolic. Just this past week, we voted to change the name. One of our main streets, Preston Avenue, which was named after Colonel Thomas Preston, who was a Confederate soldier. General, rather, we changed it from his name to after a woman named Miss Azalee Preston, who was a philanthropist and a Black educator in our community. And it was a symbolic change, but symbols matter. But symbols plus substance equal change, and you can't have one without the other. So I encourage communities across the globe to look at how can they develop equity packages? How can they look to boost economics for minority communities? I'll be presenting legislation next week in which we're creating a business equity fund, which will be $125,000 back from the city for loans specifically for minority businesses. And I think it's bold and progressive measures as such that's going to move us to get to where we need to be. But elected officials have to be willing to exude their political capital and not worry about the backlash. And then we need people to stand with those folks when they decide to stand up.
Absolutely. And that is why we say research your interest before you research your candidate.
I would agree.
You have to know what you want them to. You have to know what you want from them before you know who's going to give it to you.
I agree.
And everything that you're saying right now is that's the big scuffle right now. Right now, it's like a lot of people want to take the straight social view and want to ignore the economic factors.
Yeah, but you can't.
Exactly.
You can't. I mean, we can protest and we can march, and I'm an activist at heart. I'm the co-founder of a group called the Black Millennial Political Convention, in which we brought roughly 250 Black millennials from across the country to DC earlier this year. I serve as the co-chair of the Young Elected Official Network Black Caucus. I'm the public policy chair for the 100 Black Men of America. Protesting, advocacy, that's my thing, but none of it is going to matter if we cannot look to influence and change policy. None of it is going to matter if we cannot look to influence and redistribute resources. So, the protesting is specifically to bring awareness. And Dr. King, and there are, numerous examples. You protest, you march to bring awareness to the situation, and then you use your power and your resources to change the policy. You can't have one without the other. The symbols matter, but the policy matters just as much.
Absolutely. I'm gonna let that simmer right there. I'm gonna let that simmer in the minds of every single one of y'all watching, because a lot of you have been pushing very hard on the economic side, and we thank you for that.
Yeah.
And some of you have been pushing really hard on the social side, especially a lot of us millennials, because we ain't got money.
Yeah. Well, you need both. But the millennials, we didn't create this. If this wasn't a kid-friendly show, I would use other words, but we didn't create this mess. Right. But yeah, we find ourselves having to figure out how to get out of it and having to get the community in and get our cities out of it. And I believe that we have the wherewithal to do so. We just have to be creative in how we do it. So are we looking at utilizing bonds within our communities? Are we looking at group and cooperative economics? Are we looking at bold and progressive policies that are going to address everyone while maintaining the social peace that's needed in order for us to also get what we deserve? And that's equity. So, it's complicated and every community is different, but I just hope that we will commit ourselves to doing something. If we're going to fight to remove symbols, let's do that. If we're going to fight to do substance, let's do that. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. Let's do both.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And Dr. West Bellamy, I'm sorry, but before you where can we get your book?
Oh, yeah, you can get the book on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon. It's literally, order it. It's in a ton of different bookstores. I've honestly didn't think that many people want to buy the book. I'm happy to announce we moved up into the top 500 bestsellers. So, it's been going well. I thought that maybe only, 50 or 100 people would even read the book, but now we're in the midst of an 11-city book tour. So things have been going well. You can get it again on Amazon. You can get the hardcover on Barnes & Nobles. You can get it on my website, westbellamyofficial.com. And anywhere your books are stores, man, go request it.
In audio yet?
Audiobook it's been recorded. Yeah, I ain't gonna get started on that. So Audible, okay. Audible, man, is the place in which where you go and get your books. They are a very tricky group of people. I would say our audiobook has been finished since December. Wow. It is February and it's still not up yet, but that's neither here nor there. The audiobook will be available soon. Follow me on Instagram at dr.westbellamy, WESBELLAMY. On Twitter, same thing. Dr. West Bellamy, Facebook, West Bellamy, and I update. I'm a millennial. I'm on social media all the time. You got a question, send me a DM, hit me up. You see my Instagram stories. I pretty much put everything I do day to day. You follow me, you'll see the behind the scenes of writing policy and working with kids and whatnot. So, yeah.
Really good, very good. And when that audiobook's ready, you send us a DM and we're gonna send it off to everybody who ain't following.
Yeah, but reading is fundamental too, man. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that was the amazing Wes Bellamy, Dr. Wes Bellamy with his book Monumental. It wasn't about a statue. Absolutely. You can check Dr. Bellamy's book out on all places where you get books and online books. And like you heard him say, the Audible book is coming soon, and we're going to shoot that link out. We were going to save this for the podcast, but we got like 10 minutes left. So we're going to give you all the first 8 minutes of it. Kristen Gillibrand was down here at Kiki's Chicken and Waffles at a meet and greet, speaking to small business owners and taking questions from small business owners. And we're going to run you the whole thing on demand. That's how that works. Subscribe to the podcast. But in the meantime, here's the first 7 minutes or so. Tony G going to cut us off somewhere in there. But you can be ready for the podcast tomorrow.
Thank you all. Thank everyone for coming out today to Kiki's Chicken and Waffles. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. She worked on the music. It's a little loud. Our purpose today is to meet Kristen Gillibrand. And she really wants to hear from us. Normally, people come to hear from other folks. She wants to hear from us. Small businesses here in South Carolina. I think this is the first of many trips. And so we're going to give you all an opportunity to kind of voice your concerns. What is the needs of the small business community here in South Carolina? And a lot of you I've seen around the table, we've been fighting this battle for a long time, whether or not you're an advocate or you're actually a small business owner. So I am grateful for the opportunity. I'm going to kick off with just an introductory question that will hopefully be pretty exciting, but probably not. But I did want to ask, just to give us an idea of how you plan to distinguish yourself in this big pool, especially considering what I understand is Cory Booker is one of your very good friends.
Yeah, I love Cory. Oh, speaking of cooking, I cook for Cory. He is a vegan, so I had to learn how to cook vegan, and I can do anything vegan now, literally, except for meat, actually. But I can bake vegan, I can cook vegan, I can do anything vegan. I can't do a vegan steak. That's not possible, but anything else you can do. So Cory's a good friend. Okay, thank you all for coming. This is just going to be one meeting of many, I hope, with you all. Part of my goal in running for president is to make sure that no community feels left behind, that no community feels that they can't be successful and reach their full God-given potential, whether that's a small business owner, an entrepreneur, a child born on any block in this country should be able to go to a good public school, have a chance at the American dream, and a good education. So the reason I'm running is that I truly believe that I will fight for your communities and your families as hard as I would fight for my own, and I truly mean that. I define myself as a mother. I define myself as a Christian. I see the world in terms of right versus wrong, in terms of what we should fight for and what we should fight against. I believe that President Trump has created so much darkness and hate and division in this country that it's literally tearing at the moral fabric of our nation, of our soul. And so I want to push back against that and create a vision for America where everyone has a chance and an opportunity to reach their God-given potential, and that is who we are as a nation. And so to your question, what differentiates myself from other candidates, and how do I possibly differentiate myself when we have amazing candidates running? Our Democratic party is strong. The fact that we're going to have 20 incredible leaders put their names out there and fight for what they believe in is extraordinary, and it will inspire people. My story is different than most people's story. I grew up in a rural place in upstate New York. I represented as a House member a 2-to-1 Republican district before I was appointed to the United States Senate. I was appointed by our governor, David Patterson, first Black governor of New York State, first legally blind governor of New York State, extraordinary public servant who has literally devoted his life to public service. He appointed me to replace Secretary Clinton. I ran 3 elections, 2010, 12, 18. I have the highest vote total in the history of the state, higher than anyone, higher than President Obama, higher than Hillary Clinton, higher than our current governor, and higher than Senator Schumer. Don't remind him. He's amazing. So I can bring people together. And what I've been able to do as a senator is pass major legislation, small legislation, big legislation. Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal as an important LGBTQ equality measure that mattered. 9/11 health bill. Our first responders were the ones who raised up the towers when everyone else was coming down and unfortunately lost their lives on 9/11. And then many have lost their lives since 9/11 because of the horrible toxins they breathed in when the towers fell. They're the ones who did the very tough work of finding survivors and then the horrible work of cleaning up remains for weeks and months and now are dying. I passed that bill unanimously twice. Even in the last Congress, I passed 18 bills with the Republican Senate, House, and President. And I work with everybody, and I mean everybody. Senator Cruz and I just wrote the bill to end sexual harassment in Congress. That bill ultimately passed unanimously. So I can bring people together on sexual assault in the military. I have not only Rand Paul and Ted Cruz, but I have Bernie Sanders and Liz Warren on the same piece of legislation. So to be able to bring people together around common sense reform is what I'm good at, and the proof is in the pudding. That's how I do so well in New York. It's why red places and purple places and blue places vote for me in record numbers. And so I'm a fighter. I never give up these fights. I take on really hard challenges, even if they're impossible. I was told by my chief of staff when I was asked to lead the 9/11 health bill that I had no chance of passing it. We passed it unanimously. Don't Ask, Don't Tell advocates said, don't do this, just get President Obama not to enforce it. And I said, no, you cannot have this kind of discrimination on our books in this country. And I made sure we brought the people together necessary to repeal that very toxic and discriminatory law. So I bring people together, I get things done, and I have the courage and the compassion and the fearless determination to take on the impediments that are making all this stuff impossible. I will take on institutional racism. I will take it head on. I will take it on in the healthcare system, where a black woman today in New York City is 12 times more likely to die in childbirth because of institutional racism. I will take on institutional racism in our healthcare, in our education system, where black women today have the highest debt of any other group of people in America because they don't have enough money to go to school. They take on the loans, and because of the lack of equal pay in this country, and they only make 68 cents on a dollar for a white man, they have a hard time paying back that debt. So it holds them back. Institutional racism in the economy and jobs. Equal pay for equal work is still a huge impediment. Better job training, making sure anybody who's underemployed or unemployed can get a full-time job and the right training to get them there. And so I'll take on institutional racism. I'll take on corporate greed. I will take on corruption in Washington. I will get money out of politics. I'm not taking any corporate PAC checks. I'm not taking any lobbyist money, federal lobbyist money, and I'm not going to have an individual super PAC, because all that does is empower people like the Koch brothers. They have an outsized influence in our politics because money rules everything. And you can't get anything done because of that greed. So I'm going to take on the tough challenges, and I won't back down. And I think that is something that will set me apart from anyone else who's going to run. It also allows me, if I do prevail in the primary, to beat President Trump. I believe I can go into places like Ohio and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Michigan and Florida and actually win, because I do so well in bringing Democrats and Republicans together around common goals and inspiring people to vote in the blue areas and the red areas at the same time.
I think what we'll do is we'll start hearing some folks, and I think that I'm just going to choose Nicole because I understand Nicole has a good question.
And Lynette, just
need to order something? Are we eating?
Only if people want to eat, we'll order stuff at the table, or if you've already eaten. I think we should try something.
Okay.
At least, right?
Okay. You got
space for everybody. Okay. I think most people had lunch. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for engaging with small business owners here in South Carolina, specifically here in Columbia. Again, my name is Lene Norwood. I'm the National Field Director for Working Hero Action. Our mission is very simple. Our mission is to end poverty. So what we are here to do is support families through the Earned Income Tax Credit. So my question to you, Earned Income Tax Credit has got bipartisan support. There are millions of unspent dollars here right now for families who are working where they are not claiming their money. Can we count on your support to help broaden the message around the Earned Income Tax Credit throughout South Carolina?
Absolutely, and I will do more. I will absolutely help you on that. The other thing I want to do is incentivize and grow and invest the job training. I think the pipeline training that you've already started here a long time ago under Governor Hollins, when you actually created the technical schools to do pipeline training for the companies like Boeing and BMW and other advanced manufacturers, having direct training for jobs available in the region is what works in my state. I can tell it works in your state, and actually fund the community colleges, state schools, not-for-profits, and apprenticeship programs that are already doing that work. And so lift up that opportunity by giving more skills to more young people who just want to get a better paying job or find an industry where they can grow, and having the technical skills in STEM fields to be part of those fastest growing industries. So one of my goals is full employment, and mean it, because if you just declare victory at 4%, well, if you're one of that 4%, that's not victory. And if you're underemployed, that's not victory. And so you want more people to be earning at a higher rate by getting better skills so they can compete for those higher paying jobs.
To get my public education. Yep. I believe every day you're a child, and I appreciate your conversation about ending poverty. Poverty is a lack in any area, and right now I'm pretty sure you're aware of the IDEA Act of 1975 is not fully funded. Yep. We'd love to know your position on that as far as education opportunities for individuals with disabilities, because that is a critical area in education that needs to be fulfilled.
So my position is every child in America, especially those who are disabled, have special needs, are gifted, they need to be fully funded, because every person in America gets enormous strength by having education and then job training and the ability to have an impact in their community. And no one should be left behind because of the skills they have or the skills they need to develop. I believe every person should have that God-given right, and I'm going to invest in it, not only the educational piece, but the job training piece. I know a lot of young adults with disabilities, they get marginalized very quickly, and they need to have housing and to live in a community housing where they can live as an adult, have a job, earn a wage, and be able to provide for themselves in some way. But you need the infrastructure to support those individuals and those adults with special needs as well. So it's really important, I think, to look at the whole human and say this person from cradle to grave needs to have the supports they need to thrive. And I think every person should be given the supports they need to thrive. In terms of public school education, the fact that schools are crumbling here in South Carolina is a sin, and we have to address it directly. And the way that is I think the federal government, and I have a bill that's already we tried to pass a few times, can just invest directly in the infrastructure. There's no reason why the federal government can't take off the local government budget to school facilities. There's no reason why we can't have a good school for every kid in America that has state-of-the-art technology, state-of-the-art computers, has music, has gym, has arts. If you have to have the 360-degree training and education for kids, because their minds will develop better if you have it. It opens up doors for them. And a lot of our public schools, the first thing you have to have is art and gym and music and sports. All things that are necessary for kids to thrive. And so the federal government can offset some of those local costs. The last thing I'll do is I've really incentivized states to no longer fund education through property taxes, because that just dooms poor areas. It dooms kids in low resource areas, and it's not right. And so if you just can say we will incentivize you through whatever way we decide to not pay for school that way, but take it out of the federal tax budget and pay for all students equally and by their need, you're going to invest more in schools that have greater need. And that's what has to happen. It's not fair wealthy areas to have more resources than working class and poor areas. It's just not fair.
Thank you. So, Senator, I'd like to open up a little dialogue about health care.
Okay.
Our firm works in the Southeast, primarily in the Carolinas and Georgia. It was a passion of mine when I served in the General Assembly. We're one of a dozen or so states that sadly did not expand Medicaid. And so we see every day the 150,000 or so South Carolinians that don't make enough money to qualify for a subsidy through the Affordable Care Act, and yet couldn't afford the premiums on their own. What thoughts do you have? We keep hearing some members of our party talk about Medicare for all, and as good as that sounds, I think that's unrealistic.
So my view, okay. Give me the rest of the question. Yep.
So my question is what can we do to make healthcare, to come up with a bipartisan solution that doesn't pass in the Hildebrand administration by all Democrats with all Republicans voting against it? What's a plan that can move the ball forward and get more people covered?
Okay, so obviously the expansion of Medicaid would have been really important for your state. It really helped my state. It helped a lot of the blue states that said we're going to expand Medicaid, cover more people. The reason why that's such a good idea is because you need health care as a right and not a privilege, and you need a not-for-profit provider. That is the basis of why Medicaid expansion was so smart. If you believe health care is a right and not a privilege, you should allow a not-for-profit provider to participate in the market. I think the best not-for-profit provider today is Medicare. I think if you say anyone can buy into Medicare at 4% of income, you will create so much competition in the for-profit insurance industry that you will drive down those costs and eventually drive them out of the market because you can't compete. Because an insurance company has to spend money to make sure they have a high share price. They have to have quarterly profits. They pay their CEOs tens of millions of dollars. They're for-profit companies. Their obligation is not to their patients, but to their shareholders. And so it's never going to work. A for-profit insurance industry is always going to be enormous fat in the system that will just make you pay more for health care. So I believe in Medicare for all because I think if you tell people buy in at a price you can afford, you're creating immediate competition, you're going to shift the market for not-for-profit, and eventually you will get to Medicare for all, and you can get to a single-payer system. If you just have one source of money going straight to the doctors, straight to the hospitals, straight to the community health care centers, what that will do is there's no middleman. Money goes straight to the provider, and you're going to get more bang for your buck. You're going to get more care for your dollar. That's why I think Medicare for all is the right solution, but you should do a transition where there's actual competition. It will displace the insurance industry, I promise you, because the insurance industry is getting fat off the cow. That's what they do. They just suck money out of healthcare dollars to go into their pockets to pay their shareholders. You don't need the middleman. It's unnecessary. It doesn't mean you can't have private healthcare if you want to go get a liposuction or you want to get a facelift. God bless you. Go spend your own money. But for your healthcare and well-being, that should be an earned benefit. And so I see it in the future the way I see Social Security. Social Security, we all buy in as Americans at 6.2% of income up to about 127,000 or 137,000. I forget the number. I want to blow the cap on Social Security so you buy in all incomes, and I want to let all Americans buy into healthcare at 4%. So basically, you'd be investing 10% of your income on the social safety net of your healthcare retirement. And if you did that across the board for all incomes, that is the way the highest wage earners in America get to give back to the common good. Because they're never going to, let's say you earn $1 million a year, you probably won't spend $100,000 on your healthcare retirement a year. You probably didn't need to spend that much, but if you invested that $100,000 in America's healthcare and retirement system, you're shoring up the system to make sure it's a right and not a privilege. It's how you create a common good investment, and I think it works. So I would make ultimately healthcare an earned benefit that market. You buy into it 4% of income forever, and it pays for itself. It's a third less of the money that goes into healthcare today.
Can you pass that?
I think so. So here's the beauty. So you said, how do you make it nonpartisan? When I was running in my 2-to-1 Republican district in upstate New York, I ran on that proposal. I ran on Medicare for all with a 4% buy-in. Anyone is eligible to buy in to compete with the private insurance market, so it's there for you no matter what. And in that red district, I won. And I won my second election by a 24-point margin. So they were not afraid in this red place of America of Medicare for all. Because the way I described it to them, they said, yeah, the forces of competition will work. You will displace an industry that is getting fat on the cow and taking our healthcare dollars, and those healthcare dollars go straight to the providers. I dislike it when I dislike it when opponents say it's government run. It has nothing to do with the government. The government's just taking the earned benefit like Social Security does and sending it straight to the healthcare. It's still run by your doctor and your hospital and your pediatrician and your allergist and everybody else who's part of our healthcare system. They will get more money out of the system. Now, for those in the healthcare industry, one important note, you must do transparency in pricing first. So any hospital in America today, they'll tell you, oh my gosh, we don't get the right reimbursements for Medicare and Medicaid. It doesn't cover our costs. We're always in the black. You'll hear providers, you don't take Medicare patients because they don't pay us enough. Get the real cost down and match with the reimbursement rate. So when you go to a hospital and need an x-ray, off the street, you might have to pay $5,000. If you're a Medicaid patient, you pay $57. If you're a Medicare patient, maybe $120. X-ray is none of those costs. It's something in between. And so once you set the cost, let's say it's $500, that should be the reimbursement rate. And if you're building all those new customers, you're all paying in 4% of your pay into this fund, you're going to be able to give the real reimbursement rate to our doctors and hospitals so that they want to participate and to be in the black, not the red. Thank you.
Any questions from that? Okay.
President Trump wants to tax nonprofits and places of worship. How will you combat that as a pastor of a local church? That concerns me that you want to put a tax on a place of worship nonprofits.
I do not. I think not-for-profits should be tax-free. I think particularly for religious organizations that are operating as not-for-profits, they should be not-for-profits.
Congressman Clapper, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, please.
No, that's what I said.
Congressman Clapper is taking this on. You being likes with him?
Yes, I will. Yeah, I will work with Congressman Clapper, and if he needs a Senate sponsor, I'll sponsor his bill. I do know. But interesting to your question, I just want to follow on. So income inequality is a really big problem in America, and it's only grown over the past 20, 30, 40, really 50 years. In America, we used to invest in our workers. We used to reward work. We used to pay a living wage. We used to reinvest in our employees and help them get higher education. We used to help let them earn their way, and then we used to have them work at our company their whole lives and get a gold watch on retirement. That barely exists now. We have this gig economy. But the notion of rewarding work is really important. And in order to address income inequality, I think we need to ask America's employers to focus not just on their bottom line, but also on the common good. And one way you might do that is to have a not-for-profit tax rate of 0, for-profit tax rate of whatever it happens to be. I think it's 25% now, 22% maybe. What you could do is say there's a common good tax rate. So if you have a for-profit interest, but you're also investing in your workers or the environment or the middle class or some common good purpose, so you're a common good purpose company, maybe you get a lower tax rate, so you're in between for-profit and not-for-profit, as a way to drive better behavior, caring about workers, investing in the middle class, caring about the environment, caring about equal pay, and having national paid leave and things that matter to workers. Maybe there's an idea in there to not only increase incentives towards common good investment, so you're not alone in your efforts.
What are your thoughts around, there are plenty of services for minorities specifically to start there for you to help them sustain the success that they're experiencing. So what are your thoughts around programs or legislation around helping minorities specifically continue to enhance and grow their business?
Yes. So I think in terms of small businesses, and particularly businesses of color, one of the biggest challenges you have, and you will know this because you're at Bank of America, is access to capital. The biggest challenge is, where does money flow? And if you're a startup or even a business that maybe has been in business for 5 years or 2 to 5 years, that Death Valley area where you've got a good product, you're selling your product, but you need capital to grow your business to the next leg so you can expand your goods or services to larger markets. We call it Death Valley. Access to capital. And if you look at the powers of money and how money flows, it's almost all dominated by white men. The venture capital industry dominated by white men, the angel investor network dominated by white men, and banks dominated by white men. And so if you don't have leaders of color in these financial institutions, you're not going to fix the impediments because there's bias. There's always bias in lending. A white man is going to see a minority-owned business and maybe just not see the beauty in that business. Women have the same problem. They go in to get a loan and they just don't see the beauty in that business. But a woman who's looking at a woman-owned business idea, like when you said your business and your business, I'm like, oh yeah, these are businesses that'll definitely work because I know the market you're trying to go after. I'm your market, so I see it. And so that is a huge challenge for businesses of color because the levers of power for access to money are led by white males who may have deep biases. It's part of institutional racism that we have to address. I think there are things you can do with the SBA to make it more usable. I've traveled around my state asking, why don't I use the SBA? And they almost always say, because it's so cumbersome, it's so difficult, they won't loan to me anyway. I don't have a long enough track record. So I have actually passed legislation in the last Congress to open up lending to businesses of color by making the definitions of who's eligible for SBA loans broader. So I will continue to build on that to make sure more businesses of color get access to capital.
I mean, even now, minority is in we're kind of the minority is in the minority, African Americans. I mean, I get your point, but it's still, we need more, we need something for us to get us back to that place that we were fighting so hard to get to. What would you recommend? I mean, for me, just any type of program that on your mission, guidelines to qualify for minority, I think we need some specifics and call some things out. So a minority isn't just a woman, just African American. We need specifics around who owns this business and who can qualify for this pool of money. I think we need specifics because
maybe make your guidelines more specific and broader.
Yeah, because even that bias still exists within the term minority.
It happens a lot. You might have a business and the owner just puts his wife on the top of it so he can be a women-owned business when in fact it's not a women-owned business. I've seen that happen before. Because I'm on the Armed Services Committee, we've been working to make sure that the Department of Defense gets supplied by minority-owned businesses because a lot of the subcontractors, they never get a shot because once you're locked in as a great subcontractor for these large government contracts, newcomers never get an opportunity ever. And so we've been trying to disrupt that so that more new businesses, more startups, more minority-owned businesses actually can get access to these large contracts. The other thing is there's a federal target for women and minority-owned businesses that we don't even reach. It's something like 3 or 4%. It's so small. You wouldn't even you're embarrassed that it's so small, and we still don't reach it. So I put some legislation in place to require them to study why can't they reach these very small goals. Like, actually find out the answer. And the answer has to do with the way these other businesses have locked in the subcontractors, and they're just not making it accessible. So, but I will work with you on this, absolutely, with some policy ideas for how to open up markets.
That's fine. I've even seen it in corporate America. The definition of diversity, what it used to be versus what it is now. You can be diverse because you're a wine connoisseur. You can be diverse because you travel abroad. I mean, it's a rolling definition.
So you need to be specific. I got it. I to work on that. That's a good comment.
Thank everyone. For this chance, I want to make sure that Senator Gillibrand gets the chance to.
Pastor, we bless the food.
That's great. Father, we thank you for the ability to have courageous conversations. Father, we pray for the great area of understanding and allow us to align our thoughts and ideas together. God bless the foods that has been prepared. Kiki chicken and waffles.
Amen.
Time to time we pray. Amen.
Amen.